This week from GNC Week in Review, powered by GeekNewsCentral.com. Lost my intro. Oh no! Give me a hold on a second. I'm sorry. I just had my intro and okay. I'm sorry. You see, you said Scott earlier that it's going to be a fun. This is going to be a fun.
Oh yeah.
Let me just go back. I'm sorry. That was my fault.
I can always tell. I can always tell when it's going to be a weird show.
Right. All right, let's start again. All right, this week from GNC Week in Review, powered by GeekNewsCentral.com. A tweet sold for millions. Comcast is investing in billions, and you can pay in Bitcoin for a Tesla. Those are some of the tech news stories from this week, and it's Friday, March 26, 2021. My name is Kirk Corliss.
And I'm Scott Ertz.
And this episode 85 of the GNC Week in Review podcast, part of the Tech Podcast Network. If it's tech, it's here. Thank you so much for tuning in for this week's episode. We are streaming live at gncweekly.com/live. So please be sure to say hello in chat or comment. Also be sure to like and subscribe to the GNC WIR channel on YouTube. If you miss the live video, that's okay. You can always catch the replay later. If you are a new listener, please be sure to subscribe to the podcast where you can find the right-hand side column at gncweekly.com, be it Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or your favorite podcast app. If you have a comment, be it on social media or email, and that all can be found at gncweekly.com/connect. So this week's news, a little light news this week, but the big news that pretty much went crazy over the interwebs and all over the news. Just over 2 weeks on the market, Twitter CEO Jack Dorsey has sold his first tweet as an NFT for the odd number of $2,915,835.45. Now, for those who don't know,
47 cents. It's even weirder than that.
Right. Now, for those who don't know what NFT is, NFT is called a non-fungible token. It's a digital good that lives on the Ethereum blockchain. It allows you to buy and sell ownership of unique digital items, keep tracks of who owns them using the blockchain. And it contains anything from digital, including drawings, GIFs, or GIFs, depending on what circle you're in, songs or items in video games. An NFT can be one of a kind, like a real life painting, or a one copy of many, like trading cards, but the blockchain keeps track of who has ownership of the file. Bids were handled on a platform called Values by Cent that lets people make offers on tweets that are, quote, autographed by the original creators. The bids on Dorsey's on his succinct first tweet, quote, from March 21st, 2006, quote, just setting up my Twitter, and Twitter is spelled TW, TWTTR. This is from March 21st, 2006. It quickly jumped, and Dorsey said he would end the bidding on a tweet's 15th anniversary. According to the timestamp on Cent, the guy that bought it was named by the name of Sini Estevavi, and I mispronounced his name. I apologize. According to the timestamp on Cent, Estevavi made his final winning bid on Monday afternoon, and according to Reuters, paid the Ether cryptocurrency an amount of 1630.5825601 ETH. Estevavi, he's the CEO of blockchain company Bridge Oracle, told Reuters he was thankful. I'm sorry. This is the most, and I know you guys had it on F5 Pressure Psychology last Sunday.
Yeah.
When you said what WTF
yeah.
on NFT, and this is the most oddest thing I've ever heard.
Real quick, I have to give credit where credit is due. That came from Terry Willingham, who was one of our line producers during CES this year. Mm-hmm. She came up with that part of the headline. And I said, "Can I steal that?" She said, "Yes." So I want to give Terry credit on that. That was really funny. And I'm like, I'm taking that. She's good.
Kudos to Terry. And I was going to use that
because there's a lot of confusion over what an NFT is, right? It's because it's not actual It's
Try
it's so
explain it.
confusing. It's so confusing because it's a certificate of authenticity for a
Right.
thing that you don't exactly own. So
Right.
you own the certificate of authenticity,
Mm-hmm.
but you have no legal claim to the thing.
Right.
So like the meme of Nyan Cat sold for $561,000 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But the person who owns it doesn't own it. It's not like
Right.
it's not like they have any legal claim to the meme.
Right.
I mean, it's a meme, so kind of nobody does. But
Mm-hmm.
let's assume that you did. It's not like this person could go and start charging royalties on shirts at Hot Topic. And
Right.
you know, what did they
Mm-hmm.
get for that? The ability to say they did.
Right.
The ability to say they did what? Shut up. That's the whole thing is so strange. And a friend of the show is big into the whole blockchain crypto thing. I think maybe at some point we might want to have her on.
Okay.
Maybe she could give us a better, like, if this term sticks around for a little while, we'll see if we can get Adrian on to give us a better idea of what's going on here. But
Yeah.
there's a lot of discussion about the longevity of it. Is this Pokemon or is this Beanie Babies? And it could be either, right? Pokemon has been valuable and usable for decades, and Beanie Babies lasted about 3 years. So,
and that would have been my next question. You're way ahead of me, and I see great minds think alike. So is this, and also too, I also reported because Todd, I put this in the story in the rundown with Todd for last night's episode of Geek News Central podcast. There was an NFT that was sold from New York Times for almost over I'm sorry, I'm getting my math wrong. It was for a column, excuse me, for $560,000. I mean, so is this going to be like? I have never heard NFT. I heard of blockchain. I heard of a lot of cryptocurrency I'm aware of, but is this going to be a fad? I mean, this is something that it's going to be like the thing to purchase, and like you said, there's no. So that's odd. It's
definitely the question, right?
Okay.
And it was the question when Bitcoin first launched.
Right.
Is this a fad or does this have legs?
Mm-hmm.
And I'll tell you, when we were at the Bitcoin booth at CES in 2012, maybe 13, but I'm thinking 2012. Mm-hmm. I couldn't quite wrap my head around it, but our former host John did, and John said this has got legs. Mm-hmm. And now that I understand it, looking back at then, I would have said the same thing.
Right.
I think this is a fad.
Okay.
I think this one's a fad. I don't think this one has legs. I think this is our current digital gold rush. There's always some sort of a digital gold rush. I think this is the current one. Mm-hmm. Because Christie.
Yep,
it's just Christie.
Yep. Right.
There's no apostrophe S. It's just Christie.
Right. Right. That's okay.
I hate it. Why isn't there an apostrophe S? It's possessive. Anyway, Christie Auction House sold a weird mural. Collage. I'm sorry. It's a digital collage of 5,000 photos of the photographer, one every day for it doesn't matter what it is. $69 million. Wow. And what did the person get? I don't know. I legitimately can't intelligently answer that question because they don't own the painting.
Right.
They don't own the artwork.
Right.
They have a certificate of authenticity that says that is real. Right. What is real? Shut up.
that's the thing too with this NFT. They're getting a signed certificate that's digital, so you can't put it. It's not like a baseball trading card where you can put in a safe deposit box,
or put it on display or something.
Exactly.
You know, Avram made an interesting point on the show last week. He said, you know, it's different than and we decided that we would go with not baseball cards, because baseball cards like Pokemon cards have had longevity, right? Way more, decades and decades and decades. Let's go with basketball cards, because most people don't know they exist.
Right.
Everybody knows about baseball cards. Nobody knows that there's such a thing as a basketball card, unless you've seen a documentary, in which case you know that there's a basketball card that has a picture of the Menendez brothers after they killed their dad. Weird. Anyway, so let's go with a basketball card. So nobody cares. You've still got a thing.
Right.
I still have a tube of Pogs. Is there value in them? No. But I still have a thing.
Right.
Right.
Yep.
I still have a thing. With this, I don't have a thing. I have a GUID, essentially. I have a GUID. It's a hash of a thing that points to the fact that I own space in time.
I have a pet rock.
But it's still a thing, right?
Yep. It has its original packaging, and it has the when it came in the it has the straw, not the straw, but oh no, I'm sorry, it was a nest. It was like it's in a little nest, which I gotta find it. It's buried somewhere.
Oh my God.
It's the small little box, and it has the gray rock. I still have it to this day. It's a thing. It was a fad.
All right. I know what the image for the episode tonight is going to be. It's going to be a pet rock for sure. I have to find. Okay. I have to find an open source image of a pet rock. If somebody who's listening happens to have a pet rock and can send me a photo, the email address is
weekendreviewgnc@gmail.com. Or you can there's on the lower third, gncweekend.com/connect, Twitter, Facebook, and Twitter, Facebook. Yeah, that's it. You can just send one. Yep.
Email it over.
Yep.
We'll use it as our splash image for tonight. But yeah, I don't know. I'm about 80-20 on this being a fad. I think this is the digital gold rush. It's the reason why you've got, and I'm not going to lie, a digital gold rush can be fun. I've certainly thought about what we could do with episodes or articles. I'm not going to lie. Alante and I were doing research on how he could sell art this way.
Right.
I mean, a digital gold rush can be fun, but at some point there are too many people in California, and the gold rush is over.
And I think, you know what I should do? I think we have something for a show title. So I put in the show title for those who are watching on YouTube. The show title is "A Tweet Sold for Millions and What WTF is NFT." So Terry, I'm going to thank you as well, because I'm going to use that. I'm using it as well as the show episode title.
Hard not to.
Right. So what I'm going to do, you know what? So probably I'm going to do later in about when we're done live. I'm going to in about half hour when I'm going to upload the audio feed. So for those who are listening, you're probably going to see the title change, maybe. So for those listening later, when I publish it in about we'll be done in about an hour or so. Like a half hour later, I will you'll probably see a different title. So on the episode feed.
And there will definitely be a pet rock one way or another. Right. Somebody send me a photo.
Right. We're definitely going to work on that when we're done tonight. But for me personally, I just think this is going to last for about maybe not that long. I don't think this is going to be the greatest thing since sliced bread. It's going to
no. I think it's going to be about a year.
Yeah.
I think we'll hear about it for about a year, and then we won't hear about it again, except in those. Do you remember this dumb thing from 2020?
Right.
You know,
This is gonna be the. This is gonna no. This is here's the pet rock. The pet rock of 2021. Show title. All right. All right. The pet rock. The pet rock of 2021. All right. Cool. The show title. I'm gonna definitely make a note of it. I'll have to remind myself a little bit later. All right. In other news, so we're going from odd news to good news. Comcast will invest $1 billion over the next decade to help address the digital divide among low-income Americans. The company announced on Wednesday its plan to continue investment in its Internet Essential program as it marks the 10th anniversary of the effort this year. Comcast said it'll put that $1 billion toward a number of initiatives, including supporting its new Lift Zone effort, which establishes Wi-Fi connections in public spaces such as community centers. These Lift Zones can be used to provide internet access to adults and children who are homeless and may not have permanent access to an address. Comcast began opening up these Lift Zones in cities such as Philadelphia and Chicago in September, when many schools and libraries were closed because of the coronavirus pandemic. The company said it expects to connect more than 1,000 community centers nationwide by the end of 2021. Comcast also plans to continue funding its new laptop and computer donations efforts through Internet Essentials. It'll also continue to provide grants for nonprofit community organizations to create opportunities for low-income Americans, particularly in media, technology, and entrepreneurship. Wow, tongue-tied, and this is a wacky evening. Dave Watson, chief executive officer of Comcast Cable, says in a statement, quote, 10 years in a remarkable milestone, signifying an extraordinary amount of work and collaboration with our incredible community partners across the country. Today, we are rededicating ourselves to this mission to ensure the next generation of students in America has the tools, resources, and abilities they need to succeed in an increasingly digital world. The company also continues to offer 60 days of free internet service to new Internet Essential customers signing up before June 30th, 2021. Comcast is also waiving its requirement through the end of 2021 that people signing up for Internet Essentials not have previous debt or unpaid bills with the company. And fascinating fact that I checked on this, that they were supposed to offer this because when Comcast merged with Universal, they were supposed to offer a program like this. So this is good. This is good all around.
now in fairness, this program has existed for a while,
Right.
and my video has frozen.
Yes, it has.
This program has existed for a while, and they are expanding it now. Of course, they're expanding it under pressure, because they have been under a lot of pressure as of late to do better. Because remember, this is the same company who thought, you know what, now's the time to bring data caps to everybody.
Yep.
So they've definitely been under pressure, and that's got probably a lot to do with what's going on here. So, but whatever the reasons are, I don't care. It's a good thing for users. So
Yep.
that's the important part here.
Yeah, it is important. It is a good news all around. All right. Other news this week, geeknewscentral.com staff writer Jen Thorpe posted that Elon Musk used Twitter to post information that people who love cryptocurrency, speaking of, will probably enjoy. His tweet said, quote, "You can now buy a Tesla with Bitcoin." In the second tweet, wrote, quote, "Pay by Bitcoin capability available outside U.S. later this year." CNBC is reporting that Tesla revealed last month that it had bought $1.5 billion worth of Bitcoin, and that will soon start accepting the world's most popular cryptocurrency as a form of payment. According to CNBC, Tesla's electric vehicles typically cost between $37,990 and $124,000 before tax. The Verge is reporting that according to Tesla's Bitcoin payment terms and conditions, its cars will continue to be priced in U.S. dollars, and customers will choose to pay will pay the equivalent value in Bitcoin. Also, according to The Verge, Tesla estimates a $100 deposit paid today equals to 0.00183 BTC, for example. Going back to paying for a tweet. Why would you pay for a Tesla with Bitcoin?
Because you already have it. The thing that's been the big limiting factor on cryptocurrency has been its ability to be used as a currency.
Mm-hmm.
And Elon Musk recently put a lot of money into Bitcoin, specifically through Tesla. And so it was kind of expected that a move like this was coming.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously this is a big step in the direction, because this is the first time that a really big object has truly been available first party in a market as via crypto.
Mm-hmm.
So this is it's a big deal. Bitcoin and Ethereum started early on. Mostly you could only buy guns and drugs on the dark web. That was like the big thing. And then because it's not traceable. So that was real popular until Silk Road went away. And so, we saw the Microsoft store was taking Bitcoin for a while, and then PayPal was doing it for a while, and then it went away, and then it came back. Mm-hmm. Now that they've invested in it. So this is the thing that takes it from being a toy or a fad, like we were talking about, to being an actual currency. Now you can actually spend it on things. I think that's going to make the price go up for a while, but then I think it's going to plateau because it's officially a currency. You can use it for something that's not illegal guns and drugs. So,
but Bitcoin really isn't really like the currency. Well, in the U.S. primarily, but Bitcoin isn't really used. Isn't more prevalently used than cash or credit card or.
Mm-mm. That's because so few places have accepted it.
Right.
And the number has gone up and down.
Mm-hmm.
Some places started and then stopped and then started and then stopped. And, but we're starting to see some more leveling out. I mean, there are Bitcoin ATMs. There was one in our hotel when we were together at the plaza, right?
Right. Yep.
Right. Just next to the pizza place, there is a Bitcoin vending machine. Yeah, it's kind of that. It's right. It's a Bitcoin ATM.
Yep. I saw it. I took a picture of it too. I couldn't believe when I saw it.
And we had talked to somebody from the company that makes those at Collision the year before, and he told us that it was going to be at the plaza because we told him that's where we stay. And so that was pretty cool to see. But it's a market Bitcoin is growing up. It's not a kid's toy and a thing for smugglers. And I hate to say it, but honest to God, that's what it was. If the Silk Road thing, the fact that the U.S. government has, well, at one point it was valued at 350 million. It's way more than that today in Bitcoin that they can't access because it was seized as part of the Silk Road seizure. If that didn't solidify that it had started illicitly, I don't know what does. But today, I mean, the idea that you can literally take cash out from your Bitcoin wallet at an ATM in Las Vegas, it's grown up. And Tesla, you can buy a Tesla for less than one coin. That's crazy.
Yeah, we have a right across from my house. There's a Mac machine or ATM, but the other back of the store, they have a Bitcoin machine, and I haven't been again. I only seen that in that store and also the plaza. I haven't seen any other Bitcoin machines elsewhere, but I just noticed that that again a lot of people when paying for things or a currency, again, it's debit, check, cash, that's it. And a lot of people, we all know, you and I know, and about how it works, but there's like the overall general population, are maybe too gun shy to maybe invest in it, or not sure about how it works, and the theft, and how the reliability of it, security wise. So it's not
because
insured.
what you hear about with we've talked about it.
Mm-hmm.
55.4, by the way, is the current price on Bitcoin. So you could buy a mid-level Tesla for a single coin right now. You could buy a high end for less than 2. But the stories that the general public hear are, this exchange got hacked and $1 zillion worth of Bitcoin was stolen, or whatever the number is. Now, we've talked on F5 Live a number of times about how you can be safe with your Bitcoin. We talked at CES this year. Actually, we had an interview with a company that does cold storage on a thing.
It was that box. I was TDing that morning. It was that box.
Oh, it's not even that big. It looks like a credit. It looks like 3 credit cards stacked on top of each other.
Okay, I think it was probably the other person. I can't, because I remember seeing it was like a real small little like it looked like a tower almost. Maybe I'm thinking about something else.
You might be thinking about Trova. But anyway, so here, Arculus. It was our. Oh no, they paid to be early. Never mind. I was gonna say it was like our 10th interview. Nope, they paid to be early. The company's Arculus. It looks like a credit card, but it's like 3 thick. They made it that way specifically so that it could go in your wallet and things like that. And it's cold storage for your crypto, so that it's not in an exchange. If you keep it stored on something like this, and if you're watching, I'm pointing at the interview, and I apologize because it's weird.
That's right.
Because there's a picture of it on my screen now. If you keep it on something like that, you can't be hacked, right? Because they'd have to take it from you, and then they'd also have to have your living finger and your phone or something like that. So, like, there's biometrics and stuff involved in it. So there's ways to make it secure. And now that we've got stuff like Arculus, and companies are starting to accept it, we're really at that point where it's secure enough to be used by a normal person as a currency. It doesn't just have to be used like a stock or a bond. True.
I know for me, I'm thinking of the interview that was in 2020. Not this one, not this year. I was thinking about a different person for that. But yeah, I would be. I'm not skeptical.
You're thinking about the blockchain router.
That's it. That was it. Yep, the guy.
Yep.
But yes, I knew
we'd get there.
Right. Slowly, surely. But
that one wasn't crypto related. That was just blockchain. That was specifically blockchain.
Okay, because I remember you and Chris was talking about it, when he left, and it had something you were talking about tying it into something, and that's where it
was security and all kind. That's a cool product, and I think that he's actually out on the market now.
Oh, okay. I remember you and Chris were talking about that, but also you did mention cryptocurrency at some point.
That this isn't it.
Oh, okay.
This is taking advantage of blockchain. And he was talking about how he can't run ads on YouTube or Facebook or Twitter because they think it's cryptocurrency, and so they wouldn't let him do it.
Exactly. Yep. Exactly. That's what I remember from it. I'm getting my blockchain and interviews mixed up.
That is okay, because we have had a lot of interviews. You should be in my shoes and have been at Collision for a couple of years, where every conversation was about blockchain. How does it apply? I don't understand your question. Got it. Oh yeah, by the way, we've got our own token. Why? What? Oh, if you ask them why, their eyes would get big, because they didn't know why. Because it's popular.
Right. Yikes. All right. Yeah, but I was going back to what I was saying. I think that for me, I'm interested. But I know, like, my wife, who's handles the money more often than myself. But for her to for getting something like that, I don't know. That's something I would.
It's essentially the way I tell people to think about it is it's a merge between the cash in your pocket
Mhm.
and a stock.
Right.
And I mention the stock because the price goes up and down, the value of it goes up and down. So it's not quite like having money in the bank, but over the last couple of years, it's like robbing a bank.
Yep.
Because if you had bought or mined a token
Mhm.
while we were sitting at CES with Bitcoin, it would have been valued at about $11. And today, what was it? 55,400 something
Yeah.
is what I said.
Mhm.
So that's like robbing a bank. I mean, that's ridiculous.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
even if you hold it, it's been better than putting money into a 401k with the amount of return on it.
True.
So, at some point it's going to crash again. And I mean, it got to 40 and then it was 10. So we've definitely seen some crashes, but with more places accepting it, I think the peaks and valleys are going to go away. You're still going to see some fluctuation,
Right.
just like you do with the value of the US dollar, right?
True.
We just don't necessarily see it because it doesn't go from 40 to 10 in 17 days. But fluctuations happen in all currencies, so it's a little bit like a stock in that way, but you can spend it. You can have a debit card. There's literally debit cards that you can
That's
even
right.
attach to your privacy account that are backed by a Bitcoin or an Ethereum wallet, and you can spend your coin with a debit card at your local grocery store. So it's definitely an interesting merging of technologies.
And it's and I think that a little more like more and more, it's going to be more prevalent. Whereas back, a few years ago, it was like you can only use it trading and things of that nature. But now, little by little, you are seeing companies that do accept Bitcoin. Not many, but it's been more
But
of
but a company as high profile
as Tesla.
as Tesla accepting it,
Right.
this could be pulling the plug on the floodwaters.
Right.
This could be the beginning of something big. So we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see how many more places allow us to take it directly, because I've been watching a particular show a lot, so this phrase you might show up more frequently, and I apologize in advance. I'm old enough to remember when the only way to get cash for your Bitcoin was to look on a website for some guy's house where you could go and trade Bitcoin for cash, or vice versa, because it was just like some dude sitting in his sketchy house. Because when we were looking, I was sitting at Radio Shack at the time, so that aged it out pretty good, because I haven't worked at Radio Shack since 2012. So if we were on a website and we were looking, we're like, oh, how can I get money for, how can I get cash for a coin? And you look and it's like, hey, you can go to this address. And I'm like, I'm not going to that address. I don't have a carry permit. That's not a safe place for me to be. But today you can literally use your Bitcoin powered debit card at your local grocery store. I mean, it's a huge difference already.
Right.
And not having to go through a payment processor like that, so that you can use it directly, is going to take the cost down, which is going to be a big deal.
Okay, fair enough. Well, like I said, we'll see what happens in the weeks and months to come. Other news this week: the CEOs of Facebook, Twitter, and Google faced Congress yesterday to discuss misinformation to defend the liability shield that helped establish their platforms. In a written testimony to the House Energy and Commerce Committee, Facebook's Mark Zuckerberg, Twitter's Jack Dorsey, and Sundar Pichai discuss how their platforms reflect the society at large. And there's a lot to unpack, so we're just going to dive in a tiny bit of it.
It's a big topic.
It is a big topic, and a lot of the stuff I just basically, there's some bullet points. Again, there's a lot to get in, but we're not going to go all night with this because it's a lot. Yeah. So we're just going to go over like a few that was discussed. Zuckerberg for Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg planned to tell Congress that political and hateful content makes up for only a small fraction of what Facebook's users see. Political posts account for only about 6% of what U.S. users see in their news feeds, is according to him, and the prevalence of hateful content users is less than 0.08%.
Hey, that's the blood alcohol content level.
Right.
So you can just barely get drunk on hateful speech on Facebook.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Zuckerberg will also outline the steps that Facebook has taken to combat misinformation on the company's platforms around election and COVID-19. Facebook uses fact checkers to help debunk false information and seeks to crack down on paid spreading and monetizing false content. The company has invested in local news and promoted authoritative sources about the virus and vaccine to promote vetted information. He's also arguing about that they should be assessed on the adequacy of their systems to address unlawful content. According to him, he says what constitutes an adequate system should depend on the fair size of the platform and set by a third party that ensures the practices are fair and clear. He was also talking about how they should reform, how lawmakers should reform to Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act. He told lawmakers that they should focus on transparency and consider making the protection contingent upon companies' ability to meet best practices to prevent the spread of unlawful content. Jack Dorsey's testimony, he was on the, quote, trust deficit exists on tech platforms and beyond. He detailed how Twitter plans to earn the trust of its users by promoting transparency, making its procedures fair, and giving users control over their privacy settings and the algorithms that influence what they see on their platforms. Google Pichai is highly to surface authoritative sources and combat misinformation around the election and COVID-19 pandemic. He told lawmakers that he's, quote, concerned that recent proposal to change or repeal the law would backfire on the stated goals of improving accountability in the platforms. He says such proposals will hurt free expression and ability of platforms to take action on harmful posts. So there's a lot, basically, from what I understood also too, just to,
They misunderstand Section 230. Continue.
And that's I was just about to say that. Thank you. And also too they're all about Facebook, Twitter, and Twitter and Facebook and Google. They're all about transparency. Why is it? They've been testifying to these hearings over the past several years. They're all about transparency. They're all about doing good and putting this content out and
all of what he just said was in massive sarcasm quotes.
Mm-hmm. Right. Exactly. So what is I don't get the need for these.
So there's an important piece that whenever these three in particular talk about Section 230, but also oftentimes when MSNBC and CNN talk about it, less so the other networks, but those five seem to misunderstand Section 230. Section 230 is a protection for platforms that is an extension of a law protecting AT&T from being considered an accomplice if somebody plans or carries out a crime through their copper. So So, and I say AT&T specifically because it was Ma Bell
Mhm.
in particular that is the reason why 230 came about. So if I were to pick up a regular phone, originally, obviously, Section 230 has been around for a long time. So I pick up a landline and I call you and I say, I'm going to go and this is hypothetical. We're a news show. All right, YouTube? Because you're going to transcribe this and you're going to take it out of context. So
right.
here is my, you ready, YouTube, from your transcript? Here is my theoretical situation. Mm-hmm. I pick up a phone and I call you and I say, I'm going to go rob a bank. Can you cover for me? And you say, I got you. I'll create a distraction or whatever stupid thing we decide. And then you and I go and we rob the bank. Mm-hmm. And we carry out this act. Without Section 230, AT&T is part of the conspiracy, and they can be held liable as a contributor to our crime for allowing it to happen in their square. Now, obviously, AT&T had nothing to do with it.
Right.
There were no people involved, especially after switchboards went digital. I mean, when you've got a quarter inch to quarter inch and there's a person possibly listening to your call, yeah, maybe she's liable for not reporting what you said. But as the switchboards went digital, obviously there's no people involved. Nobody knows that we're planning a bank heist. And so how could AT&T possibly be liable as a contributor to our conspiracy? They can't. And so Section 230 eventually was extended to internet platforms as a distinct classification versus a publisher. Now, the important part is for 230 to apply, you cannot proactively censor content on your platform. Because as soon as you start determining what content is and is not allowed, Section 230 no longer applies because you have stopped being a platform and you've started being a publisher. You've started deciding what is and is not acceptable. And that means that you're looking at content, which was AT&T, Ma Bell's whole argument for 230 was, we're not listening to every call. How could we possibly be liable? The technology doesn't exist for us to listen to every call.
Right.
And so 230 was born, but now we have Facebook and Twitter, Facebook in particular, in this particular summary. You've got Zuckerberg saying that Section 230 should be extended to push the idea of preventing illegal activity, which is fine if you as a company feel that it is your responsibility to police the content in your system. That's fine, but you're not a platform and you've given up the protections of 230. And that is something that I don't think everybody in Congress understands what 230 is. And when you hear, especially Hirono, is that her name? Oh, I can't believe she finds the Capitol building every day because she's a moron. And she's involved in these conversations, and you can tell that the hamster's running slow during these conversations. She doesn't have a clue what's happening. And so
half them don't. But also,
and that's the problem, right? One of the running jokes on F5 Live, and it's literally been a running joke for almost a decade now, is that there was a law that was passed by Congress that inadvertently prevented Netflix from having a button on its website to allow you, when you finished watching a movie, to share on Facebook that you had watched that movie. Now, it had nothing to do with Netflix. It had nothing to do with the internet. Some federal judge had gone to a mom and pop VHS rental place and rented an adult movie. They then reported that to the local news. And so Congress wrote a law that said that no company can report the rental and watching habits of its customers. Whoop! And now Netflix can't let you share that you watched a movie on Facebook. Now that law's gone, but they didn't when it came up for talking about dismantling that stupid law. Nobody understood. Nobody understood what the law meant or how it applied to Netflix, because all they could think about was VHS tapes in the corner shop next to your Publix, right? They didn't understand the conversation at all. Luckily, somebody talked them into getting rid of it. But this happens all the time. The people that we elect, and it's a lot of them, and it's on both sides, because you've got Nancy Pelosi, who's super old, we've got it on both sides, right? That are so old they don't understand these conversations,
right?
And they're the ones making decisions on this stuff, and it scares me, because they're going to think Zuckerberg's going to convince somebody that this is how 230 works, and it's not, and it's terrifying.
It's terrifying to know also too, and this may be going out into left field, but also too, when
I apologize, Kirk. I need 2 minutes to go deal with something off camera.
No worries.
I apologize.
No worries. Yeah, go ahead. All right, so Scott's gonna. So if you're watching live, if you're listening on the audio, Scott had to step away, so he'll be back in a couple of minutes. I was going to say, well, we'll wait till for Scott to come back, but I'm not going to go out in left field. But when you're on, or when you're posting on Facebook, and I think this is under the First Amendment, where it's free speech, and we're not going to go into politics, so and all that, but also too, he's right. Scott's right. That lawmakers. There's a couple things that I'm kind of curious about, because a lot of lawmakers are asking all these questions, and they're asking, they're putting Zuckerberg and Dorsey and Pichai, feet to the fire, and they're asking all these questions, but it's like they're explaining things to them as they're explaining things to. You're okay?
Yep.
Oh, cool. Okay. So they're explaining things in as best they can. And I was going to say, I don't know if you heard what I was asking earlier. This may go out into left field, but when you're posting on Facebook about a comment, that's kind of goes towards the First Amendment. No, I mean, Section 2. I mean, there's Section 230. I get it, and I know a lot of people get it as well. But when if you agree about something, let's say that I don't like, for example, I post on Facebook, I don't like your shirt. And you're gonna get like a lot of people or trolls saying,
sure, because this has both Star Trek and Star Wars on it together. There's gonna be trolls. I get it.
Right. But I'll be honest, I'm a fan of both. That's why people will keep teasing me saying Captain Kirk till the day
That's unusual.
See, so I mean, it's like, so if I have a strong opinion about something, and you may have something. I mean, there's the saying agree to disagree, but also Facebook been going to, especially Facebook, where he's going to Congress. He'd gone to Congress over the past 2 years, maybe if not more, testifying, saying that that we're going to try to do all these things. We're going to make sure that, and they still go there, but nothing's like being done. I mean, they're taking all this time to do something, but yet they're still testifying and going through the circle jerk over the past several years.
So the thing they're trying to do is avoid being classified as a publisher. They want to be able to control the narrative on Facebook, but they also don't want to be classified by the FCC as a publisher and suddenly lose all the protections of 230.
Right.
They want all of the benefits, none of the responsibilities. And that's what I keep saying. And a lot of people have said that. And a lot of people on both sides have said that, because everybody hates Facebook. It is the one thing that the left and right can come together on, is that Facebook sucks. And that Zuckerberg in particular sucks, as a person. And so he wants the ability to have all the protections of a platform, but none of the responsibilities. And one of the responsibilities is that you're supposed to be hands off. If you're a platform, you're hands off. If you're a publisher, you're hands on. So, you know, and everybody's doing it. Avram and I have had this conversation a number of times. They want all the benefits, none of the responsibilities, but you either have both or none.
Right.
You can make the decision that you're going to be the arbiter of truth, that you're going to decide what is and is not reality. You know, you've got Amazon out there with their digital book burning. It's fine.
Right.
It's a private organization. If that's the way you want to behave, I think it sucks, but you're a private organization. I guess that's okay. I mean, I guess that's permissible, not necessarily okay. Those are different things. But as soon as you do that, you don't get the protections that we as a society have said as a public square you get. You can be that public square or you cannot, and you can't have it both ways.
Right. Yeah. You know, this has been going again. It's been debating.
I've been pitching around a bit of a tech rights show in my head for a while, and you're giving me the opportunity to do a backdoor pilot right now. I appreciate it.
No problem. No, I'm more than happy to jump on it. I'm more than happy to jump on it because they say that, you know, they're going to try to do things and also being transparent, but they should have been transparent from the get-go, not go through. And also too,
and the problem is they're not transparent. They talk about transparency, but then they heavily, you know, if you look at the type of content they take down, left versus right, it's heavily aimed towards the right. Now, granted, I mean, the far left and the far right are equally bonkers, but in different directions, and they're both problems. But
right, agreed.
But when you come in from those extremes, right? You've basically anything inside of Don Lemon and Tucker Carlson, right? Let's
good example.
Let's come inside of those.
Good example.
Because both of those are outside of the normal mental process, I think. So let's come inside of them. Right. And you know, so when you're in there, more stuff to the right disappears than stuff to the left at a much higher rate. And even the left, I mean, the New York Times, Washington Post, Washington Post wrote an article about how it was absolutely true and it was absolutely the plan.
But I like to think that both sides. I like to think that both sides are wrong, and also too, the lawmakers, and like you said, they're there for the people of that particular state, and each state. Excuse me. And to this day, I remember watching when he was there was a couple lawmakers, were asking Zuckerberg all these questions and about YouTube, and you know, and Zuckerberg at one point was looking perplexed and trying so hard. It's just like, it was so, I mean, if you watch C-SPAN, I mean, I watched C-SPAN, it's
where you could see, like, he's thinking about putting his hand up, like, I don't know if you know who I am.
Right.
I don't have anything to do with YouTube.
Yep.
I can't control their policies. I mean, we know each other.
Right.
But I turned off video embedding from YouTube years ago, so we're not friends.
Right. It's just like, it was like watching paint dry, and I had to turn it off because I was ready to lose it.
Well, I was ready to he doesn't have any human emotions, which makes watching him way more difficult.
Did you see the meme on Twitter that he looked like Data?
Oh yeah, you just have to yellow his skin a little bit, and he's there. Yeah. He's funny. A weird dude.
No, he's a weird dude.
Obviously autistic. I don't think there's any question in anybody's mind that he's got Asperger's at some level, which certainly explains his inability to connect emotionally with the conversation he's having,
Mhm.
because that's a key sign of Asperger's.
Yep.
And so I mean, I get it, but it doesn't make those hearings more watchable.
No, no, because when I was watching it, I had to stop. I was ready to like lose it and throw something at the TV. And
At least when I love this nickname, hipster Stalin, and Jack Dorsey, when when he's in a hearing, it's fun to watch because he's weird, and
well,
he's
well,
at least connected to what he's saying.
we also wanted to know. This was also one thing that he was also reported that he wants the world to know that he has a Bitcoin clock, and he had the camera pointed just where he was had him on one side, and the clock you can see it on his on the left hand side of a Bitcoin clock.
What the hell's a Bitcoin clock?
I don't know. I'll have to pull it up. I'll have to pull it up. I'll tell you later. But apparently he was so adamant about that. And weird. Okay. All right. Well, let's not delve too far down the rabbit hole. Pharmacies using prescription delivery service Script Drop will deliver medications to customers through Uber. Uber will be the default delivery service for Script Drop pharmacies in 37 states and will eventually expand to others. The service lets pharmacies offer prescription deliveries to patients. The tool can integrate with whatever organizational software the pharmacies normally use to keep track of prescriptions. Amanda Epp, Script Drop CEO, says in a statement, quote, being able to combine Script Drop's integrated interface with Uber's technology means that pharmacies of all sizes will be better equipped to improve prescription adherence and serve the most vulnerable other communities. Cool. All right. Other news, T-Mobile.
It's important to know that some prescriptions cannot be delivered by them.
True.
Because I had to go pick up my parents' prescription during while they had coronavirus because something about what was prescribed could not be delivered by them.
Uh-huh. Okay. All right, cool. All right, very good. All right, so other news this week, T-Mobile is bringing more perks to Metro customers. The company is opening up its T-Mobile Tuesdays program to prepaid users. It offers weekly exclusive and freebies from Pandora and SiriusXM, Redbox, Dunkin', and many other companies. The latest bonus for eligible T-Mobile, Sprint, and Metro customers is a free season-long subscription to MLB TV.
Hey, they're bringing that back.
Mm-hmm.
They offered that last year, too.
Yep. The subscription includes streams of every out-of-market game for all MLB teams, along with on-demand content and some spring training games. You'll get that through the T-Mobile app between 5 a.m. Eastern Time on March 30th, which is the coming week, and 4:59 a.m. on April 6th. Cool. All right. In video streaming news, well, it's not really video streaming. Regal, what's that?
I can't figure out what this thing was showing while he was on his.
It's on the left-hand corner. It's on the.
I definitely see it, and I've been to the company's website. I understand what it is. I don't know what number it's showing.
Yeah, I have to look at it too.
I think it must be the number of coins that are in circulation.
Yeah, it's in really dark numbers. I'll look at it later. Regal Cinemas has announced it will reopen U.S. theaters on April 2nd with the release of Warner Brothers' Godzilla vs. Kong. This is reported from Deadline. That'll be followed up on April 16th with New Line's Mortal Kombat. The chain's parent Cineworld has also struck a deal with Warner Brothers to show its 2021 releases at the same time, released on HBO Max. Starting in 2022, Cineworld will have a 45-day exclusivity window before titles are released on streaming services. Cineworld CEO, okay, this guy must get teased a lot. Mookie Grindiger told Variety in a statement, quote,
"Oh, that poor person."
No, I must get teased relentlessly. He says, or she, I don't know if this is a male or female, quote, "We are very happy for the agreement with Warner Brothers. This agreement shows the studio's commitment to theatrical business, and we see this agreement as an important milestone in our 100-year relationship with Warner Brothers." So theaters are back opening slowly but surely. and so it's good on. I'm not sure about the movie, but that's me. All right, so we are all.
So the response that I've seen on this has been interesting because obviously a lot of people were enjoying the same day launch on HBO Max and theaters, and this definitely signals the end of that they're not going to continue that going forward. And a lot of people were kind of hoping that they would, but obviously, and Avram and I have talked about this a couple of times. The idea of what a movie theater is might be about to shift. We think we might go back to more the Palace Theater versus the Megaplex, where you've got one or two screens. And if you want to see it in the theater, you're going to have a window to see it, and then it's going to bounce off to whatever other options, streaming or DVD or whatever other options there are. And that's kind of been our pitch, is that your big 24, 28, 32 screen megaplexes might be a thing of the past, or they might start to repurpose some of those screens. In South Korea, they've been using them for esports with a lot of luck. So we might start seeing that, and this suggests with a 45-day window instead of your normal like 6-month window, that this suggests that maybe that is going to be the future of theatrical releases.
To be honest,
Moshi, by the way, is his real first name. He's an Israeli businessman. He goes by Mookie because Moshi is probably, when you look at it, it doesn't Moshe. You may not necessarily get that right. So he goes by Mookie.
Okay,
and as an Israeli businessman, it may not sound as weird as it does to you and I.
Okay. It's still yeah, I imagine he gets teased relentlessly.
I'm here for background tonight.
Right. Yep. Just filling in. I'm glad for me. My wife and I and my daughter, because we usually go out, on the weekends occasionally to see the movies, and we haven't seen a movie literally since last March. And my daughter, who has autism, doesn't understand certain things, what happens in the world, and we have to explain things to her.
I'd imagine the lockdown has been a confusing situation.
Yeah, it has. So we're trying to explain things to her about different things, but
Sure.
but she understands it. But we have to explain things in very minute, small detail. But for the most part, because when you go into a movie theater, you're getting the way expensive popcorn. Of course, we try to sneak it in, but I wouldn't recommend doing that. Sneaking in candy. So I would not recommend that. That's what I do, but hopefully people are not watching this. I don't get busted. But you go in for the
YouTube,
experience.
you misheard that.
Right. Right. So YouTube, if you're listening to this, please don't take us down.
You misheard what he said, I promise.
Right. But just going to enjoy the experience, the big screen, the surround sound, watching the coming attractions, it's a getaway. So, and a lot of people nowadays are just don't want to attempt it. They figure, well, it's on HBO Max, and I can watch it at home, but I don't have that. I don't have the full theater experience. I mean, sure, you'll have some people have the widescreen TVs and what have you, but it's not really the same. So I don't know if the shift is going to go, if they're going to. I'm just curious what's going to happen, 6 months from now, where it's going to end up. Are they going to? Is it people are going to be still stuck at home on their couches, sitting on their butt, watching a movie, or are they daring to go? Me personally, once this is almost done, that's the first thing we're going to do. Hun, we're going to see a movie. I don't care what it is.
Yeah, so I think in the future we're going to see a split. You're going to see the idea of direct to DVD, right? which has always been a sign of failure. I don't think it will be anymore because I mean you've got things like Stranger Things, right? That big budget, possibly better viewership than it ever could have had on television, right? So going direct to video isn't necessarily, a sign of failure today. In fact, a lot of people clamor for an agreement with Netflix or Amazon. But then there's stuff that is made for the big screen, right? Avengers Endgame would have been disappointing to see the first time on a small screen.
Yep.
Now I've seen it many times on the small screen,
right?
But not the first time. The first time was on the big screen because that experience is very different.
Exactly.
And some things can benefit from that, and some things benefit from a more intimate experience. And the idea of the small theater might come back. We have the Clearwater Cinema Cafe, which is not quite the same thing as like Movie Studio Grill. I don't know if I'm still here because you have stopped moving, and that could mean several things.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yep.
Okay, we're back. All right.
We're back.
So we have a Clearwater Cinema Cafe, which isn't quite the same as a Studio Movie Grill because it's way smaller. And it's a more intimate thing. There's up front, there's tables. And that's fun for different movies. Again, that's not where I would go see Endgame.
Right.
But there's a lot of stuff that I have seen there that I like better in that more intimate. And then some stuff is more intended for watching at home because I appreciate the fact that on the 4th of July at 3 a.m. I turned on Stranger Things and I watched it until it was done because I have a problem, but that's okay. I understand. It's a 10-hour movie. I get it. Y'all complain about the Snyder cut of Justice League being 4 hours, but many of us sat down and watched Stranger Things straight through. Anyway, I think there's going to be that split where there's some stuff for big, some stuff for medium, and then some stuff for home. I think that's going to become a more common thing, and I think it's good. I think that split will create, will bring back that more intimate style of movie, which has kind of been lost in the last couple decades. So I think that's a good thing.
All right, we'll see. We'll see what happens. All right, other news this week. Now, we all know that streaming services have raised their prices, Hulu, Netflix, and so on and so forth. Well, you can add Disney Plus to that list. Disney Plus subscribers based in the U.S. will have to pay $7.99 a month or $80 per year. The new pricing for Disney Plus is a $1 increase, while the Disney Bundle, which includes streaming access to Disney Plus, Hulu, and ESPN Plus, will also be impacted, increasing from $12.99 per month to $13.99 per month for ad support, or from $18.99 per month to $19.99 per month for the plan with ad-free Hulu. So,
and that went into effect today.
Yep, today. As we're not as early. Well, today as not we're recording, but it was
probably 3 a.m.
Right. So yeah, if you see a charge on your credit card bill and you're wondering why, well, there you go. According to Deadline, Discovery Plus has tapped the real Wolf of Wall Street, Jordan Belfort, to narrate its upcoming documentary, tentatively titled GameStop, excuse me, The Wall Street Hijack. The film is being described as a David versus Goliath story that focuses on the social media uprising. Will premiere in the UK on April 8th before making its way overseas. It follows the Hulu documentary GameStop from ABC News, which debuted earlier this month. Belfort says, quote, "I have found some very creative ways to make money on Wall Street, but I've got to say personally, I love the fact that everyone now has the ability to organize and give the Wall Street players a run for their money." And I don't know if you saw GameStop. I saw the documentary on Hulu. I highly recommend watching it. It's a timeline of what happened with the with GameStop and how the stock went up and down, and people were. It was a very good. I recommend it. It's on Hulu right now. It's called GameStop. It's on from ABC News. I really enjoyed it. It was really good.
I could probably do my own based on the information in my head, which makes me sad. I don't like when I end up knowing a story that intimately. It's like this NFT thing. I don't want to know as much about it as I do right now. And I'm going to end up knowing more because I feel like I don't know anything.
Right. YouTuber Mr. Beast said last year that he wants a way to invest in up-and-coming creators, help them blow up, and get a cut of their business returned. And today, excuse me, he announced a plan that is doing just that. His real name is Jimmy Donaldson. He's working with a $2 million investment fund excuse me, that will offer creators up to $250,000 in exchange for a stake in our channels. The fund is called Juice Funds. It's part of a new company that Donaldson is a minority owner of called Creative Juice, which was announced in the information. He told the information, quote, "We're going to make sure we find creators that actually need a giant cash inflow and aren't just trying to buy go buy a Lamborghini."
Yeah.
He's one of the biggest creators on YouTube. He has nearly 56 million subscribers and gets tens of millions of views per video. His most recent one, posted a week ago, already has 35 million views.
Jesus.
He's known for, and I've seen his videos. He had a 2,000-gallon cereal bowl. He gave away cars, houses as part of the videos. So Mr. Beast, if you're watching, we'll post up on Twitter later. And I don't think I follow him yet, but if you're watching or know someone's watching him, we're more than happy to invest in us.
We're happy to talk.
Right. All right. And lastly, speaking of Netflix earlier, and I'm going to go back to my screen. We're going to do this right quick. Over on, this is from CNET. We'll have the link up in the show notes. Every new movie and show on Netflix in April. And I did not scare my screen. There we go. This show is going.
You didn't scare your screen?
Right.
Okay.
There we go. So April 1st, 2012, Cop Out.
I'd like to point out that Leprechaun is too little too late because it's a leprechaun. It's too little. Anyway.
Dum-dum.
But it's the wrong month. Why are you getting in April? Get it ready for next year.
Mm-hmm.
Prank Encounters Season 2. Okay, I'm not going to lie. Super excited about that one.
Okay.
That's hosted by one of the kids from Stranger Things. And it's basically just him doing a prank show. It's pretty wonderful because he shows up and they're like, well, this was weird because you're the kid from Stranger Things.
All right. April 2nd. I don't know what these movies are. Shows.
No, not a great sign, is it?
Right.
I'm excited about one thing so far, and we're into April 2nd.
Right.
That's not great. Okay, I don't know what that is, but that sounds like it could be funny if it's intended to be funny. Last Kids on Earth, Happy Apocalypse to You. Mm-hmm. That sounds like it could be funny. Now, watch it be a serious thing, and that'll make me sad.
Okay.
What an uninteresting month.
Yeah, this is really bad.
This is disappointing. There's nothing. There's nothing coming to Netflix this month.
Yeah, that's a little womp.
Have we ever had something like this where we're just scrolling through going, I don't care about any of this?
No, I think it's a first. I think we're on market calendars on market calendar.
Life in Color with David Attenborough. Anything that David Attenborough does is worth watching.
Mm.
He's the BBC's nature guy.
Right. Heroes, Silence and Rock and Roll. This is what I'm gonna like get out of this here because
This is depressing.
yeah,
Honestly, depressing.
It's bad. I'm even going down. And leaving Netflix. It's just as bad.
Wow. It's been a long time since we've done one of these and we've looked at it and gone, all right, well, there's something finally. Thank God there's one thing on there I care about.
Right. There's a few that I was intrigued as well, but yeah, and I have it on my watch list, but yeah, this is what's leaving Netflix on April 20th is Paul Blart. So if you want to jump on watching Paul Blart, do it before April 28th before it goes away.
You've got just shy of a month.
All right. And finally, this week, now here's something, Scott, that I know you're not going to give up. Reviews.org is a company that tests home services and products and is holding a 24-hour digital detox challenge. They'll pay their chosen challengers over $2,000, actually $2,400, to survive a whole day without screens.
I can do it.
You can do it.
I'd be happy to do it.
But for $2,400,
more than I'd make doing the show.
Good point. Good point. Touche. The company writes on its website, quote, and it closes today. So everyone, we'll have a link up in the show notes so you can fill the form out. It says, quote, if you got the desire to ditch your devices for a day but still need to get paid, this is the perfect opportunity for you. The company is asking some discerning questions, like, for example, quote, have you always wanted to win reality competitions like American Ninja Warrior, but you've been too busy to beat Mario Kart and Mortal Kombat instead? Do you know a little too much about your old acquaintances from social media? According to the company, the ideal candidate is someone who is, quote, definitely into tech and up for a challenge. It's from what the saying, it's really involved with it, because those selected for a challenge will not only have to switch off their phones for a day, but also television, gaming, computers, smartwatches, and smart home devices. They say that
microwaves are still okay.
Okay, right.
It's funny because that's the only thing on the list I don't use.
There you go. Right. The challengers will receive safes to store electronics for 24 hours, along with a $200 Amazon gift card to put together a tech-free survival kit. There's the reviews.org is saying that you can use a typewriter to replace computers, writing paper to replace text, and paints and brushes to replace the fine art of the selfie. Challengers will have to review the survival kit and give feedback on the experience after completing the challenge, but they'll do so while holding the coveted, quote, 2021 Digital Detox Challenge title. Now, again, the link to the show notes closes today as we record. They're asking some information, 100-word question on why you're right for a challenge, and the winners will be announced on the company's YouTube page on March 29th. So for $2,400, I'm sorry. I mean, I'm on my work computer. I'm on my smartphone morning, noon, and night. So I don't know if I can do it, but you would. But I'm in. I'm
100% in. I'm gonna go apply. I've got a stack of books that I've been wanting to read, and this gives me the opportunity to just sit in my chair and read my books.
Okay. All right. I'm surprised. I'm surprised. I thought you were not gonna do it, but
I'm on the page right now.
Are you really? If you get selected, you got to let us know on the next episode, or
absolutely.
You have to let us know. Let us know. I would love to, and DM me, about it.
As soon as I hear.
As soon as you hear, because I definitely want to know. This is gonna be interesting because you have a lot of tech. I mean, you have tech out of the, coming out of your ears. I mean, that
I'd have to, but I would almost certainly have to live in my kitchen, bedroom, and living room. Mm-hmm. Obviously, the office and studio would be 100% off limits.
Exactly. Yep.
Because let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There are 9 screens pointed at me right now.
Oh my goodness.
No, 10. I'm sorry. And then 1, 2, 3, 4 cameras pointed at me. Oh, plus I've got my Stream Deck, which technically has 6 tiny little screens on it. So that's pointed at me too.
Oh my goodness. See, I know,
This
yeah, I
seats
know
are
you
crazy,
because color me surprised. Okay, well, I'm rooting for you, man. If I'm rooting for you.
I'm not gonna lie. It seems like I would be. Oh, there's another camera. Sorry. I forgot about the one for doing unboxings. It's way up on the ceiling. It seems like I would be a fun candidate for this, right?
Yeah.
I literally host a tech TV show.
Right. Several. Yes.
I seem like the kind of person who would be perfect for this. For 24 hours, you can't touch any of the things that power your company.
Right.
That's crazy.
All
But
right.
it's what my day looks like when I'm flying to CES.
Mhm.
Right?
That's true.
You're basically without tech there because that's my opportunity to read a book. Honestly, going to and from Las Vegas for CES, going to and from Toronto for Collision, that's when I read. That's my most productive reading time.
Oh boy, we're gonna definitely tune in to see, and definitely I would love to. This would be interesting to see if you win, because something telling me you're the ideal candidate. You are the ideal candidate, because I was looking on their website, and there's like a lot of questions on there, and I'm thinking he's not gonna do this. There's no way he's gonna do this. He's so heavily integrated in tech from one end of the spectrum to the other. So again, color me surprised.
I could have a couple of friends come over and have a board game day.
There you go.
Yeah. An abacus to replace your phone's calculator. I'm sorry. You had some fun stuff in your list, but you missed the best one. They do specifically call out having books on here, though.
I saw that. Yep. Oh my goodness. All right. And on that note,
all you have to do is schedule an Uber Eats delivery the day ahead, so you don't violate.
Right. Oh boy. Well, with that, wish Scott good luck, because something tells me he's gonna be in it. That is the tech news for this week, for Friday, March 26, 2021. Thank you so much for tuning in for this week's episode. Show notes from this episode can be found at gncweekly.com. Also, be sure to check out the latest tech news and commentary from geeknewscentral.com. And be sure to tune in Mondays and Thursday evenings at geeknewscentral.com/live for the Geek News Central podcast. And then be sure to watch and tune in on gncweekly.com/live Friday evenings at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Programming note: next Friday is April 2nd. So we're going to be off for the Easter holiday. We'll be back Friday, April 9th at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, gncweekly.com/live. So be sure to like and subscribe to the GNCWIR channel on YouTube. Also, make sure to click on the bell and select always for notifications so you will not miss the next episode. Also, be sure to share this episode to people that you know so they can check the podcast as well. Also, be sure to subscribe to this podcast on your favorite podcast app. And be sure to tune in with Scott and Abram Pilch on F5 Refreshing Technology Sunday evenings at 9 p.m. Eastern Time at f5live.tv/join us. You have comments on this week's episode, we'd love to hear from them. Also, we're looking for those pictures as well for a pet rock. Head on over to gncweekly.com/connect, and you can connect via email, Twitter, or Facebook. I'm on Twitter. I'm at Kirk Corliss. Scott is on Twitter at TTMAO with your good luck and best wishes. Till the next episode of GNC Week in Review. So long.